Howdy all, Mulclax Lives. I think it's time to play a little Minecraft. Hey, Piglin. Hoglin? Piglin? I don't know what you are, man. You are what you are, but yeah. But I don't know what you are. I can't remember your name. All right, so I think I was headed to the desert biome, right? Because I need glass. Glass is probably. Well, you know what? Let's put down this minecart stuff first. I don't think I've got any polished andesite on me. I definitely don't have any buttons on me. So I need several polished andesite and buttons. Take a little nappy nap. So, uh, polished, polished. And then I need just stone. Okay. Oh, and I need redstone blocks if I got them. I've got them. As for the rest, I have no idea. Uh, yeah, usually lately I've been recording way earlier in the day, and today is a late recording session. This is the wrong way. I also, it's very weird that the pattern is different down here than it is in the sand tunnel. Interesting. Um, we we were sitting around today, and I don't even remember how we got onto it. Um, but I was looking at trailers online for old movies. That suspiciously doesn't look like andesite. Uh, that's a piece of gravel. Uh, Also, not polished andesite. There we go. Okay. Um, I forget what my distance is. Okay, it looks like every 8. Okay. So, you know what? I can't count and talk at the same time. I've never managed that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But we were watching trailers today, and 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. No. I'm sorry. Let me back that story up. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't remember what brought it up, but my brother-in-law started saying, "I pity the fool." And 1, 2, 3, 7, 8. No, that's not true. That came after 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. I don't remember. I don't remember what brought it up, Mr. T. But Mr. T came up. 1, 2, 3. And that's when my niece and nephew, who were young, very young, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, were like, "Who's Mr. T?" 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm like, yeah, they're not gonna know who that is. He was famous back in the '80s, man. One, two, three, four, five, six. And they were definitely not born in the '80s, so they're not going to know what you're talking about. And whoops, no, nobody wants to go that direction. And so that was when my brother-in-law was like, that guy that goes, "I pity the fool," and they're like, "I don't know what you're talking about," and I'm like, I know. Let me put on like the one of two things that I know Mr. T from, because I really only know him from like a couple of things, and so I put on the first fight scene between him and Rocky, right? And so we played the first fight for him that for between Mr. T and Rocky, and they recognized Rocky immediately. Like they're like, "Oh, that's Rocky," and I'm like, "Why do you guys know who Rocky is? That's weird." And but they didn't know who Mr. T was, which is a little weird because I guess Rocky probably went further into. Well, Rocky had a movie here not too long ago, right? Rocky Balboa. Um, and he's in Creed. Not that we've seen Creed. And so then we started. Well, because I had control of the television at the time, started looking at. Whoa. Started looking at some movies. One, two, five, six, seven. Just random trailers. One, two, three, five, six, seven, and three, four, five, seven, and I don't even remember what happened. Why? One, two, five, six, seven. Uh, One of the commercials that came up had aliens in it. One, two, three, five, six, seven. And I was like, oh man, I love that movie. So I played the trailer for that. One, two, three, four, five, seven, eight, which is probably a bit scary for kids that young. One, two, three, five, six, seven. I mean, they're not that young. I think one of them's 7, the other one's 10. Dang it. Uh, one, two, three, five, six, seven. And so we watched that trailer. One, two, five, six, seven. This is an awful conversation with me pausing every phrase to count. One, five, six, seven. I tried to get him to watch the trailer for Cowboys and Aliens because I like that movie, but nobody would watch it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so then they were like, "Oh, I know what we're doing this afternoon. We're gonna be watching Rocky." 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so then they were checking to see if it was okay for the kids to watch Rocky. 1, 3, 4. Whoops. What you got for, man? One, two, three, four, 7. And decided it would be okay for the kids to watch Rocky. And then 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. While we were looking at that, there was a thing with they do this video series. It's like fight scenes with video game health bars. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. And so they, oh, dang it. So they had one for the Matrix, and 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. And of course, the kids had never seen that, and so that's what we watched this afternoon. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oof, a lot of counting here. Uh, and so yeah, we watched The Matrix. I enjoyed it. I hadn't seen it in a while, but it held up better than I thought it was going to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Okay. Um, I know I have read that the second one has that big CGI fight scene with all of the Smiths versus Neo, and I've read that that particular scene has not held up well. But the rest of it seems pretty good. I didn't really see too much in there that was like. There were a couple of fight scenes where you could tell, that people were not connecting, and they're usually a little more careful with that now. But the Matrix is an interesting one because of how many techniques that are common to movies now that were basically pioneered in that. Um, and so um, things like fight scenes where people have to exchange blows, not very common in American cinema at the time. Fairly standard now, and so the choreography was maybe not as on par with some of the, like John Wick, right? How? Why did I take damage from coming home? John Wick is pretty highly choreographed. Oh, I'm surprised I don't have train rail in here. I have so much powered rail, but no regular rail? That seems odd. Am I missing it? Oh man, you know what? I was looking in there. This has got nothing to do with anything. I forgot. Wow. I forgot about my automated sheep farm back here. I haven't checked on this thing in ages. How you guys doing back here? Everybody still alive? I feel like you could have been producing a bit more wool than you apparently have been. I'm sure there are better ways to do this than the way I've done it, but this was my design. Uh, yeah, no, everybody's still got clippers, yeah. My own personal automated sheep farm design. Let's see if we. Oh, here we go. Purple. 33 wool. Clip them. Where'd your wool go? Where does wool go? Oh, it's floating up there. Why are you floating up there? You're not supposed to be floating up there. Somebody else get some wool so I can see this thing, make sure it's working okay. Obviously, that piece of wool there didn't go where it's supposed to. Maybe the piston will push it over, though. Will piston push loose entities like that? Oh, yeah, that pushed it in there, okay. Uh-oh. That one's not going in there. I was just thinking, man, I haven't been over there in ages. I wonder how well it's done. Obviously not as well as I would like, but hey, you know what? I didn't have to shear that wool. So any amount is better than having to shear wool, right? I uh, I jokingly uh, I jokingly when we decided we were gonna watch The Matrix today, I'm like, I came down. I was pretty sure it was on the shelf. We've got the boxed Blu-ray set now, and so I was like, oh man. I looked for it and I couldn't find it, so I brought up The Godfather instead. I didn't want to watch The Godfather. I didn't take The Godfather up there, but I was like, ooh, now that they've watched The Matrix, can we watch Battlestar Galactica? But no, I decided maybe it's not quite ready for Battlestar Galactica. And we didn't watch like The Matrix 3 because they're a little leery on what the kids watch. But all right. Hey guys, did you make me any train rails while I was gone? I didn't think so. I don't really have a lot of iron left, and oh, I've got train rails on me. Not enough for what I gotta do though. Do I have wood on me? Oh wait, I have a ton of rails left. Hold on, before we get crazy here. I didn't see how many rails were still in my inventory. Look at that. Let's not get too crazy now. I got the Battlestar Galactica game during the Steam Summer Sale, and so it's been making me want to play a lot of, or making me want to watch Battlestar Galactica. Although I did, I've just finished. It was alright. I finished an anime called Batum, and it, yeah, I didn't think you were back far enough. And it kind of reminded me of Gantz, uh, but not. Oh, I should have brought those train cars. But I don't think it was quite as good as Gantz. Um, I would guess either they didn't have the funding to do a second season, or a second season is coming for Batum. Uh, but it's there's a really popular video game called Batum, which I have to assume is like the Japanese sound for kaboom, right? Uh, it's interesting the sounds that are different between cultures. Oh man, look at I'm 1, 2, 3 off. Like uh, for cats, we say meow, right? And in Japan, I believe it's meow, which is why you have the neon cat. Uh, hey, oh, I didn't bring that. Never mind. I was gonna say, where's my thing, but I don't have it in here yet. And then like in I want to say Chile, it's Mia, and because I was watching this dude, um, like we went to hear this dude speak, and he was talking about his time spent in Chile and the people he knew from this area. Their daughter was named Mia, and he thought they were teasing him because Mia is the sound they make for a cat, and that's her name. All right, so I need three. There we go. I don't remember how this stuff's made. I don't remember if it's 6 and 1 or I think it's like this, right? 6 of these. One of these, you get 16 of them. Nope. See, not even close. Oh. Where'd you just take that from? You better not have taken something important. Run around here acting like you own the place. Uh, anyways, Batum. So it's a really popular game, and it's kind of like Call of Duty or whatever. And but instead of running around with machine guns, you run around with bombs, and there are different kinds of bombs, and only it's also got like some kind of dang it, I forgot to bring the carts again. It's also got some kind of social area where they meet up together. I mean, they've only showed 2 parts of the game, really. One is where they're fighting each other in like city ruins with bombs, and the other is this big. Well, no, I guess they showed 3 parts. There's that part with the fighting in the ruined city, and then there was like a social area where they're all standing around, grouping up to go play the game, and then they also showed like a big meeting area because the main character, 2 of the main characters, were in-game married, and so. But what it's about is the owner of the game, I think, decided that he was going to make more money if he made people play the game for real. And so he he almost. So I thought maybe I could get those in there while I was moving, but it didn't happen. So he put out a rumor or something, so that if you wanted to get rid of somebody, you could. And I didn't catch if it was they pay you or you pay them. I have to assume it's you pay them, and then otherwise just everybody would be putting people's names in. So if you want to get rid of someone, you have to pay them, and then you give them their name and the money, and then they make that person disappear by kidnapping them and taking them to the island. And so on the island, then everybody starts with um, a pouch of 8 bombs of random type, and only they can use the bombs um, unless you kill the person who has the bombs. Then you can use their bombs. Everybody's got a gemstone looking thing in their hand that they can use to send out a radar pulse, and it will detect anybody else with a gemstone in their hand, I think. I can't remember if the woman who doesn't have one that's on the island had one or not. So I think they have to have one for it to be detected. And so the goal is to kill 7 people collecting the gems when they fall out of their hands, because otherwise they somehow stay attached to their hands. And if they fall out, then um, you collect those, and then once you have 8 of those, you can use them to summon. Oh, what's this mess? I must not have waited long enough to get four blocks for that one. Where's my axe? And so so that was the premise of the show, and then it's mostly this one guy is like really good at the game. I don't think he might be the best. I don't know. I thought they said that his team was like top 5 or 3rd place worldwide or something. And so it mostly follows him. And then there's this girl who also gets put on the island. And so it kind of follows her a bit too. And I don't like. There's not a lot of explanation for what's going on beyond them on the island. And so I'm not really sure what the deal is with her. Because people are like making fun of her and stuff because she's got blonde hair, but she's Japanese. And so whatever happened at school, which they never really explained, um, the girls there decided to send her name in. And so she got sent to the island that way. But she also knew the main character in real life. No, I'm sorry. Knew the main character from the game. They had never met in real life because she was too afraid to meet him in real life. And but they were the ones that were in-game married. And so okay, I didn't get enough saplings. And so horrible things happen, of course, because they're trying to kill each other, uh, and there are no rules, so a lot of bad things are going down. But it was all right. I think I like Gantz better. I've seen a couple of different versions of Gantz. There's a live action version, and then I think there's a couple of anime versions, um, which is a similar premise, except that the people are like out of phase with reality, and so they fight monsters for points. Uh, and so it's not exactly the same, but it's a similar concept of people being kidnapped and then forced to fight, um, and both of them being pretty heavily adult themed. I don't remember a lot of nudity in either one of them, but I don't think there was any in Batum. I don't really pay attention though. Uh, I am not good at that stuff. I watch so much stuff that I don't pay attention to language or nudity in movies most of the time. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I don't remember there being anything in there. And they're like, oh, it's tons of it. And I'm like, where? I don't even remember that happening. Uh, Kind of oblivious to that, I guess. Oh, dang it. I knew you were going to do that. Make a tiny little tree. Get out here with your tiny little tree. But, yeah, so I finished that one. And then I've been watching that or playing that Battlestar Galactica game. And I'm like, oh man, I really, really want to watch some Battlestar Galactica. And then I'm like, maybe it's time. Maybe, maybe it's time I start the big watch through of Gundam. I really like Gundam. It's my favorite series, I think. I mean, it's hard to compare. There aren't a lot of shows that work like Gundam. So it's definitely my favorite mecha series. Gundam Wing is, anyways. Uh, One, two. Gundam's interesting because, well, I mean, Gundam for me is just a really good series, but beyond that, it's interesting because it's been on so long. Um, it's it was kind of Japan's anime answer to Star Wars. Only instead of going the adventure funny, I guess let's go with funny. No, it's fun. It's just not, a lot of sarcastic, offhanded comments from Han Solo don't happen in it. Um, and so it's about war. It's about war and the atrocities of war. But it's set in it happens on Earth. Um, and the first one is Mobile Suit Gundam, and it takes place after a war in which, or no, it takes place during a war in which, okay, I need to get under here, in which the um, they're space stations, right? Like space colonies, not just space stations, but space colonies, and they are set up to. Um, I mean, they're space colonies, and one of the colonies declares itself independent from Earth, which I think is side 7. It's either side 7 or side 3. They call it, and they rename themselves the Principality of Xeon. Don't worry, this will be short. I'm not going to get into too much detail. And so uh, by the time the show opens, the oh man, I'm out of sand. The by the time the show opens, you know what? It'd be better if I do this in the daytime. The war has been going on for a while, and they bring down one of the colony stations. They like on purpose crash their colony into the planets. Dang it! I wasn't even there, man. And and these are like huge. I mean, we're talking like massive city-sized structures, right? And so they crash this thing into the planet. And so it said, I don't know exactly what they mean by it, but it said in the intro that in the few months of war that had gone on, they had managed to kill off half of the human population. Now, I don't know if they mean half of the total population, half of the population in space, half of the population on Earth. I don't know, but it said half the population. So billions of people are dead from the war between Earth Federation and the Principality of Xeon. So it's already, had a pretty harsh start at that point. And so when it starts for the viewer, it focuses on this guy named Amuro, and Amuro is, hey, little scary dude, I am trying to talk here. Where are you going? Uh, and so when it opens on the Amuro is like a high school student. Most of the time, animes are they're high school students, and maybe a college student. And their colony, side 3 or 7, whichever is the opposite one of the one that Xeon came from, um, has been secretly developing uh, technology to help fight against Xeon. And um, Earth Federation built a new battleship, like a spaceship, for this Gundam project, and they built a few Gundams, um, and so they fight in mecha, right? I mean, one of their main weapons is mecha, and Xeon has the most advanced mecha with the Zaku's, and so uh, Amuro winds up piloting the prototype Gundam, and on top of that, he's like a genius computer person, and so he reprograms part of the operating system to make it even better than it was, and so it just kind of follows him and some of the people he knows who survived the attack on their colony by Xeon, uh, as they attempt to um, figure out how to stop them, the fallouts from the war, how broken it leaves people, main characters getting killed off, that kind of stuff. And but what's interesting to me, and this will be the last little bit I talk about here, is that Gundam as a whole is a lot of different series, and so there's not just one Gundam that's been going since like 1979. It's a series of series, and so what's fun to me is that not all of them, but a lot of them are set in the Amuro um, universe, and um, and so like you watch the first one, well then when you watch the second series or the third series, they're also still in the Amuro Ray universe. But then you might get a side universe story, like something from a different universe. So there's like G Gundam where they fight like duels to determine the outcomes of wars between Gundams. And so then everybody's got a very unique, Gundam for fighting. But for the most part, they're like soldiers, and so I always thought that was a very interesting series. And then my favorite Gundam Wing is its own universe. It's not part of the Amuro Ray universe, but it is closer to Amuro Ray than it is to G Gundam, uh, except that the space colonies declare independence and they send 5 Gundams to Earth to try and stop Earth from having enough of a military to fight against the space station. They're just not that they want to conquer Earth, but that oh man, but that they need Earth not to fight them because it's dangerous. It's dangerous to have Earth attacking space stations because they're so fragile, right? You crack open a hull and everybody inside dies. All right, well, with that, I am going to call it a day. So be better in the small things, lean into the light, and I will talk to you later.